Hey, Sumit on this side. This is going to be a much shorter video. This is specifically for LinkedIn and for Reddit because have been creating videos on vibe coding for like the last month or so now, and most of them are quite long. Like they are about like 20 minutes long. So I thought I'd create a shorter video. This is specifically on some scripts that I'm building and how to build such scripts. These are like typical utility scripts: import data from X and and into Y service. Let's say you have a WordPress blog and you want to get that data out and you want to create a static website, or maybe you have data that is, let's say you are a content creator, you have a lot of video content on YouTube. How can I use the YouTube API to get that data and then maybe make a website out of it, stuff like that, right? And this is very helpful if you're a content creator. This is also very helpful if you are running a business where you're using a few of these utility services, these SaaS services, and you want to get the data out. And we'll see how we can create these scripts without really coding. So I didn't set up much to like what programming language to use or anything like that. I just went ahead and prompted, and I got a set of Python scripts. But let me first show you what is the basic structure of this website. So this is my personal website. This is visible on brainless.in. This domain I have had for a very long time. I don't really update it, but now I'm getting to it. So I wanted to import. First of all, I had an earlier blog. This is on Blogger. If any of you remember, Blogger is like age old. So I have blogs all the way dating back to like 2006. I wanted to get those blogs out, and what I did was, so Google has this export facility, like data backup facility. I used that. Now I have basically a dump of the whole site, and this is in XML. I didn't want to look into it. I just knew that okay, this is there. So what I did was I used so for this I used a new terminal called Warp. This is using Claude internally. This is using Claude for Sonnet, but yeah, if you use Claude Code, if you're using Gemini, I think you'll get very similar results. Or if you're using OpenAI Codex, the Codex CLI, you're going to get very similar results, and they work pretty similarly. And we can get like I'm creating the other videos around like the actual tooling and everything, but this video is focused on the script. So what I did was I said, hey, analyze the blog posts that are in the takeout blogger comments, being brainless. So that's where all the actual posts are, like the blog post exports are, and then create a script to convert them into markdown files. So that's the first transition. I wanted it. I looked it at the folder that I saved from Google, and I saw that there is like some XML file, but I didn't really care about the format of the file or anything. I just wanted it to create posts which are basically markdown files, so that I could now render them as like HTML through Astro. So I asked this as the first script. It started creating a bunch of scripts. I saw that it's starting to create Python scripts, which is great. But then it started installing pip directly into that scripts folder, and I didn't want to do that. This is, of course, a bit of technical knowledge. If you would like to, great. If you know it, great. If you don't, it still is not going to hurt you a lot in this early stage. But basically, I wanted to save the Python dependencies, like whatever software to install because of these scripts, into what we call a virtual environment, basically a folder where all these, think of them as libraries, would stay. Okay, so I mentioned that it updated, it went ahead, it made a few mistakes, it went ahead, made the scripts. Then I made a few adjustments. So as I looked at the data, so I started looking at the data on any browser. So not browser, as in your editor. And then I saw that in the content folder where the data was being processed and stored as markdown files, I went into the markdown files, and then I saw that there are a lot of comments that have come in. So back then the comments were inside the blog. And I thought, okay, that's incorrect. The comments should not be there. And I did not think about comments initially, by the way. So I then updated the script. I asked it, hey, I see that there are comments, and then can we move them into a separate folder? Okay, so the comments were all labeled as untitled, named as untitled. Let's put them in a separate folder, so on and so forth. So then my comments became separate, and then I wanted to tag the comments to the blog post. So I then asked for, somewhere here we should track the original blog post, as you can see here. And that's where I told it like, hey, track, so find out for the comment which blog post it belongs to, and make sure that in per comment, if you now go and look into the data per comment, there is the original comment ID, and there is the parent ID. Parent ID is the blog post and the ID of the blog post. So now each blog also has an ID, which is the ID of the blog post, and then the comment refers to the blog post by the parent ID. So yeah, all of this got done. This looked nice. I looked at the data, kept on checking the data, kept on updating, like kept on telling it. But here, the most important thing I want you to take away is that I'm still not looking at the script at all. I have no clue what the script is. I have actually, till even recording the video, I have no clue what the scripts are. I have never looked into this folder. Like, I know they are Python scripts and that's about it. Other than that, I have not looked into this folder. Okay. So then I go ahead. I like it. I really like the workflow also of Warp. By the way, Terminal, really great tool, I would say, if you're interested in these kind of tools. So this is a great alternative to Cloud Code, although it's using the same models, but it's a great tool, I would say. Okay, so this got done. I could then go ahead and publish, which is how I have all these blogs here. So if you go to brainless.in/blog, the blogs have been imported. There were a little bit of there were a few errors with dates. I also asked it to fix it. So there were some dates which it could not figure out. I don't know, maybe there were multiple formats of dates. I just asked it to, hey, look into it, and it did that. And that's it. Now the scripts are in my repository. So on GitHub, in my repository, the scripts are there on the folder, and also the rendered site is definitely live. Now, what's the next one I wanted to do? The next one was, I have a lot of these GitHub projects, the projects on GitHub where I'm actually working on vibe coding, and I wanted to share them as well. So I'm either vibe coding under my account, Brainless, or I'm also vibe coding under my company's account, my own company's account, which is Pixely. And I wanted it to access to that, and I knew that GitHub has an API. So today I started another project, and this one I started directly with Gemini. So I used Gemini for the whole of it. And basically what I did was, hey, create a script which would do this import from GitHub. And for that, first thing I did was I went into GitHub itself, and this is how I usually vibe code with, like, usually when I'm using AI generated coding, I'm a little more structured, and this is basically how I go about it. I first create an issue. So there's a new issue under any repository. I first go ahead and create an issue, and here I describe what is the high level, like, thinking process. So here I wanted the data to come for my projects under Brainless or under Pixely, and I would give the API key. This much technical knowledge I already had gathered. I mean, of course, you can always ask AI if you get stuck, but this basic let's say intro I figured out, and I put it into an issue, and then I asked Gemini. So I come back to Gemini, and then I asked Gemini, hey, look at this ticket, look at the current project, and then update the ticket depending on the technical knowledge or the details that you feel like it should be. So then what it does is, I'm by the scrolling to the part where I asked this, but yeah, this is what it did. It added a comment. This was not by me, it is by Gemini. Although it looks like it is from me because I'm authenticated in the GitHub client, but yeah, it is Gemini updating it. So it looked at the scripts folder, looked at the existing scripts, looked that there is Python, etc., and then it added these extra details. Then I asked it to finish it off. So it finished it. It gave me the results. I saw it. I saw that it's giving me per project, it's going to give me some details, and then it could not get the details for Pixely. And the reason for that is that the API key, so like I said, I would be able to share my API key. I shared my API key, but what I did not know back then is that the API key is only for my user, not for my company's account. So my company is just like github.com/brainless or github.com/Pixely. I own the Pixely account on GitHub, but still the API key that I generated is basically like the GitHub personal access token, and that does not give automatic access to the repositories that are under the company. So what I did was I updated that, hey, I see this error coming. So what I will like to do is give you two API tokens, one for me and one for my company. And it immediately understood that, and it changed the variable names in the environment file. There is a file in which I'm pasting these tokens, and it made sure that basically GitHub_token_ and then the owner name, the name of the repository owners, and then I get Brainless and Pixely. I put them in. I'm not going to show that file because that's the secrets file, right? That's the file that's the API key that you get from GitHub. But yeah, you paste it in, and then it runs the data for you. It runs the scripts for you, and then I see that, yeah, Pixely data is coming through. And I'm assuming here the actual data that is coming through is what I have asked for. Basically, what I had asked for is, if you have ever seen any of the personal user pages, like kind of the homepage of every user, this is how it looks like, and I wanted this format but in my blog. So yeah, the data came through, the data is now here, and then I created also a minimal page out of it. So that was the second issue. I'm not going to show you the issue right now because we are running short of time, I guess. But yeah, I have this page which is now rendered out of it. Sorry, which is now rendered out of it. It's only local. So yeah, this page is now rendered out of it. The data is saved as JSON. So the data is in the website folder. In the data folder, there is now this projects data, and then from the projects data, it created an Astro page. So this is the Astro, again, this content specific web framework that I use, which is basically static web pages. So there is no JavaScript in the browser, none running in the browser. And yeah, I got this web page all built. Now I'm going to improve this. Again, you can create tickets to improve, like, hey, put in the descriptions or eliminate, like for example, there are projects like this one. I have actually not worked on it, so let's eliminate these projects which I've not worked on for the last 12 months, etc, etc. But yeah, this hopefully gives you a short introduction to how I use AI tools. And I'm not, again, no looking at the scripts. I don't even know what the scripts are. I have not glanced into them at all, but seems like everything is working, and that's the best proof. Like, of course, in really production grade software, you need more proofs than this, but at this moment, I know how to run them because there is a README, there is a structure here, and these were also documentation created by Gemini itself. So Cloud Code, Gemini, all of them can create these. You just have to ask for them, and that's it. You run them, it works, and I guess that's good enough, like, for you to get practiced into vibe coding. And of course, like, as the industry is looking at this, there are ways to like figure out how to create better software, quality software. But I hope that's a good enough introduction. And yeah, let me know how it goes.